A lot to discuss here. Bob McCarthy, our 7 News political analyst, joins me now. And Bob, thanks for being here.
Yes, Jeff.
A lot to get into here. The role of Congress, right off the bat, front and center. In the absence of a formal declaration of war, what legal justification, I guess, is the administration using at this point? And with this essentially a war already, what role does Congress have in approving or contesting this, I guess, moving forward here?
Well, Jeff, you can argue about the merits of this whole military operation, whether it's needed or the right thing to do. But the real thing that's going to be debated, I think, over the next several days and maybe several weeks is that role of Congress. I mean, at some point, Congress needs to get involved, I would think. Now, the president has the right, as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces under the Constitution, to order an airstrike or to, arrest the president of Venezuela or anything like that. But when you get into a prolonged situation, when you get into something that's going to involve a massive deployment of the U.S. military, at some point, the argument is going to be that he needs some type of congressional authorization.
Yeah. And some resolutions up for a vote in both the House and the Senate at some point this week. We'll take a closer look at that. Let's talk about the political optics of this for a moment. With elections ahead, both parties trying to balance both national security, credibility, constitutional and public concerns. What could this mean, you think, for the upcoming midterms? And this is going to be a big topic now.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. You know what strikes me about this is the divide on such an important question between Republicans and Democrats. It's a situation where Republicans think this is the right thing to do. Democrats think it's the wrong thing to do. And I think it really demonstrates the divide that we have politically in this country right now. That's a question of such magnitude could be defined and viewed by Republican interpretation or Democratic interpretation. So we're going to see this continue. Right now it looks like the Repubs are pretty much behind the president, except for those real hardline MAGA types who are going to question why the president is getting us into a foreign war, that he campaigned against that whole concept of getting us involved in foreign wars and in staying home and paying attention to domestic priorities. So we're already seeing some cracks in that. You see some people like Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky who's questioning that, a Republican. And you see a very prominent Republican like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said something today to the effect that, well, the divide is between those who are pledged to fight for Israel and those who are committed to peace and prosperity at home. So we're going to hear a little bit of that within the Republican Party. Democrats are going to be united against this whole thing, and at some point it's going to come to a head.
For voters, what do you think? I mean, foreign affairs, right? Where do they come? They're down the list, aren't they, typically for elections?
You know, that's absolutely right. I mean, just the latest poll results that I saw the other day had foreign policy at 2% of concerns, with economic concerns up at the top. That holds until it doesn't, so to speak, until all of a sudden this thing starts costing people. We're seeing some real indications that gas prices are going to go up because of this crisis in the oil-rich capital of the world there. And what if the stock market starts reacting negatively to this? I think then all of a sudden it does become an economic concern, and therefore it does shoot to the top of concerns. And by the way, if casualties start mounting, and we have not just 6 casualties, but 60 or 600, and all of a sudden this becomes a serious event, and where people are getting killed and we're losing so many of our military personnel, that becomes another real concern, and will begin to assert itself in this midterm elections as a major topic.
Political consequences from that, when you talk about the casualties, when you talk about increasing prices. How long, we got about 30 seconds left here, how long do you have for that? I mean, clearly any loss of life over there is a big deal. Right. How long
well, that's the big question. How long is this going to take? I mean, if at some point within the next few weeks, Congress has to get involved in this one way or another. And, we're not that far off from this becoming part of the political season. And so we might be there. We might be there already, at least at the cusp of this, where this could become the major topic of the political season that's coming up for midterms. And we didn't really expect that, but now it's here.
Eyes of the world, eyes of the country, all on this. And 7 News political analyst Bob McCarthy will be with us throughout the duration. Bob, we appreciate your thoughts here tonight.
Yes.
Thanks. Good to see you.